So, Mr. President, yesterday I joined with House and Senate leaders for a briefing with Secretaries Rubio, Hegseth, Attorney General Bondi, and other officials about what comes next in Venezuela and beyond. For 2 long hours, we heard yesterday from the administration, and what we heard was little more than wishful thinking and no real answers. We got no clear answer to any of the 4 questions I've been asking the administration for days. First, how many troops are we going to commit to Venezuela? Are there any limits? No answer. Second, for how long will we be committed to running Venezuela? No answer. Third, how much is this all going to cost? They said they had no cost estimate. And fourth, what country is next? Is Colombia on the table? Are we going to invade a NATO ally like Greenland? Where does this belligerence stop? I was very troubled by their answer on this as well. Sitting in yesterday's briefing, Mr. President, it's clear the administration pulled the trigger on step 1 of their plan in Venezuela without figuring out how they're going to follow through on steps 2 to 10. How do you enter a country and remove its leader by force without knowing anything about what happens after? The current vice president for Venezuela now says she may cooperate with the U.S., but her grip on power is weak. She has many rivals in government. Her reputation for steadfastness and honesty leaves much to be desired. And all of the remaining regime leaders in Venezuela are so corrupt that it's naive for the administration to think we can rely on any of them to maintain stability. Now, this is how we get into endless wars. The administration has a one-day plan on how to get rid of Maduro, but no idea of what happens after. It's what's happened to us in Iraq. Yes, this is how we get into endless wars. A one-day plan to get rid of Maduro, but no idea of what happens after. Look at history, look at Iraq, look at so many other places. This is what leads to endless wars. And last night, Donald Trump added to the fires of confusion once again. He was asked, who exactly is in charge in Venezuela? And he simply said, me, Donald Trump. A lot of macho going on there. How the hell does Donald Trump expect to exert direct control over Venezuela? We have so many problems here at home. People are struggling to make ends meet when the economy is slowing down and costs are going up. Yesterday, Donald Trump even suggested we might spend up to 18 months in Venezuela rebuilding its oil infrastructure. And that's probably a low estimate, according to most experts. Most experts think it could take easily longer than that. The Venezuela oil fields are such a mess. And are you kidding me? How are we going to spend 18 months and potentially tens of billions of dollars in taxpayer money in Venezuela at a time when people here at home don't even have basic health care? There are also reports that Stephen Miller might be heavily involved in the governance of Venezuela. I asked about this at our briefing, and the answers were very troubling. This is the same Stephen Miller who yesterday went to CNN and asserted that Greenland rightfully belongs to the United States and nobody will fight the U.S. military over Greenland. What is going on here? What kind of adventurism is this? The language Miller used comes right out of the 1930s, directed by a senior official of the United States against a NATO ally. God help us and the future of world order. Donald Trump has opened a Pandora's box. We have to take seriously that after Venezuela, he may attack other nations without warning, maybe Colombia, maybe even a NATO ally like Greenland run by Denmark. All the while, how does any of this belligerence in Venezuela or Greenland put America first? How does any of this help people here at home pay the bills, pay for their health care, put a roof over their heads, pay for their groceries or their energy bill. The American people voted for Donald Trump to put America first. That's what he campaigned on. A lot of his most hard-right supporters voted for him because he was, quote, America first. Well, America first means focusing on health care costs and all kinds of rising costs here at home, instead of using taxpayer dollars to build up the oil fields in Venezuela. It means helping American farmers instead of bailing out Argentinian farmers. It means bringing manufacturing back to our shores instead of giving critical chips away to China. It means helping people pay their rent, pay their mortgage, pay their energy bill, instead of launching an attack on foreign countries and putting our troops in danger. On Epstein, it's been 18 days since the administration was required by law to release the full Epstein files to the American public. And it's been 15 days since the administration has released any documentation on Jeffrey Epstein. Now the Department of Justice says it has released less than 1% of the files. Less than 1% in 18 days and 2.5 weeks? Are you kidding me? They say they were preparing well in advance and they've only gotten 1% done? It's deliberately stonewalling of the American people, what Congress and the American people are demanding. It's an outlandishly naked attempt to hide the truth and defy the law. People across America are wondering, scratching their heads and asking, what the hell is Donald Trump hiding? His Justice Department is so adamant about slow-walking everything. Let's be very clear about what the Justice Department is doing and what I warned would happen. They're using every trick in the book to ignore the will of Congress and to ignore federal law. Every single member of Congress, with one exception, spoke in unanimity. The administration must release the truth about Jeffrey Epstein. No dodging, no obfuscation, no hiding. It's been 18 days. What does the administration have to show for it? Less than 1% of the truth. It's unacceptable. The American people won't stand for it. And the Senate is going to take action available to ensure that every shred of evidence that must see the light of day comes out. Jeffrey Epstein's victims deserve no less. The American people deserve no less. Donald Trump, why are you hiding the truth about Jeffrey Epstein from the American people? On January 6th. Later this afternoon, I'll join with Leader Jeffries and members of both the House and Senate to mark the 5-year anniversary of the deadly insurrection of January 6th. It's a bitter, frustrating, and somber day for all of us who were in the building that fateful morning and afternoon. I remember standing right here in this very spot alongside other senators getting ready to certify the 2020 election. All of a sudden, my security detail pulled my collar like this, gripped me by the arm, and told me we had to get out because a mob of rioters had broken into the Capitol. At that moment, I saw the Vice President was instantly rushed out of the chamber as well. He was sitting up in that chair. We went downstairs, we turned towards one hallway, and for a moment came within several yards of angry rioters before my detail pulled us away from safety. It was a dark, scary, violent day. They pulled me away towards safety, not from. And when the MAGA rioters desecrated this chamber, they ransacked offices, waved Confederate flags through these hallways, and used violence to try and steal an election. All that happened, and it was propagated by Donald Trump. But make no mistake, January 6th was also a day when the power of democracy ultimately prevailed. It was a day where U.S. Capitol Police faced their moment of maximum danger and responded with maximum valor. Let us take a moment to remember all our brave public service members, Capitol Police, D.C. Police, and other officers who died in connection with the attack. I just want to thank our officers who were here on that day, who do their jobs every day without fanfare. Of course, the 5-year anniversary of January 6th comes at a bitter and complicated moment. The very same man who sought to steal an election and delegitimize our democracy has now returned to office by the very same means he tried to destroy. And what was Donald Trump's first official action while in office? Donald Trump, a man who claims to stand up for the police, a man who says he cares about law and order, pardoned every single convicted insurrectionist on his very first day as president. These pardons are among the most sickening things Donald Trump has done in office. His betrayal of law enforcement, of democracy, makes a mockery of the rule of law. These pardons were an explicit endorsement of using violence to get your way. That is who Donald Trump is at his core, a man who's happy to see violence work in his favor to get what he wants. And in this chamber, especially in the House of Representatives, too many Republicans remain silent in the face of obvious evil. That's true in both chambers, unfortunately. Too many have tried to rewrite the history of January 6th. Too many are trying to turn these criminals into martyrs, into heroes. That's perverse, that's a lie, and it's wicked. History will curse those who absolve or celebrate the violence that happened on January 6th. We must never relent on speaking the truth of January 6th in the face of the hurricane of lies that comes from Donald Trump. That is our moral obligation, our obligation to this grand democracy as members of this institution and of citizens of this great democracy. I yield the floor.